In this video, I paint Grog Strongjaw. Hello Bits Brood, it's Craig from bitsbox.co.uk here, with the first video in a series where I paint the Vox Machina miniatures from Critical Role. So I've been very looking forward to getting hold of these miniatures ever since I pledged to the Kickstarter some time ago. I'm going to start by painting Grog Strongjaw, and here you can see the finished miniature. So just going for like a tabletop standard with this guy. So if you're new to this channel and you want to keep up to date with everything we do, including the other videos in this series, then do feel free to hit that subscribe button, and you can ring the bell if you want to get notified whenever new videos go live. I am going to be doing every miniature in this set and hopefully do the Mighty 9 in the future as well. So, and as always before we begin, just a huge shout out and a massive thank you to all of our patrons. And there's a link down below if you want to check out our Patreon and see what that is all about. Anyway, let's just get straight into painting Grog. Okay, so here we have the Grog Strongjaw Miniature. So I've given him a primer of the new Grey Sear Spray Primer by GW. You can literally use any spray primer or any brush on primer, just any acrylic primer that you so wish. White and black are normally the popular options, but I like to go with a light grey. So we're going to start by painting Grog's flesh areas. I'm going to take the fang. So looking at artwork and Travis Willingham's cosplay of Grog, there's sort of variations of the colours of his skin. There's like sort of a bluey colour, which I'm going for, like a bluey grey. There's also more just like grey, and I've even seen sort of more purpley greys as well. So next I'm going to take Fenrisian grey. I'm going to thin this out, and then I'm going to go over a majority of the flesh areas again, but I'm going to leave the darker colour of the fang in all like the recessed areas. And it's well worth at this point thinning your paint out and doing a couple of thin coats here. When it comes to flesh, you certainly don't want to lose any detail by putting on too thick a paint. And when it's dry, you'll see what I mean. Now I've sort of brought out all the definition in the muscles. So I'm going to take Administratum Grey now, thinning out again, and this time I'm just going to use it as like an edge highlight. So I'm just sort of highlighting the sort of sharpest points of the muscles. I'm going to focus around his face as well. But yeah, just sort of hitting the sort of top high points of the muscles. And you only need like a little bit of this, don't overdo it with this step. Also focus on areas like the knuckles, the nose, cheeks. Do around his mouth as well. But yeah, I'm only doing like tiny little spots, like as you can see there on the knuckles. Just add a tiny little highlight on them areas. So yeah, just sort of continue around the flesh areas with this colour. So that is the flesh now done. So I'm going to take some Corvus Black to work on Grog's tattoos and also his pants as well. So again, thin it out with a little bit of water. That'll make it easier to apply on the tattoos. There are some marked out on the miniature's flesh that I'm following, but when it comes to sort of the ones sort of around his face, I sort of free-handed this a little bit. But of course you can look at reference photos of Grog to know exactly where you want to put your tattoos. The beauty of these miniatures is there's just so much fan art about that you can get lots of inspiration from, and you can sort of know what you're putting where. So next I'm going to take some Catachan flesh. So this is like a dark brown colour, and I'm going to do all the brown areas in this colour. So again, I've thinned out just a little bit, but over a light base coat I only need one coat of this. So I'm going around the straps on his hands, or on his arms I should say, a little bit around on his belt as well, and of course his boots. And then there's also his straps around his body, so just be very careful that you don't get any of this on the flesh. Next up, we're going to take some Iron Hands Steel. This is for all the metal areas, of course, such as the axe head. He also has like a hammer on his belt as well. And also there's a few other little areas such as a shoulder pad that I'm painting this colour as well. So next up, I'm going to take some Barakna Burgundy, and this is for his little sort of tabard thing that he's got there. Now I wasn't really too sure what colour this is meant to be, but I quite like this colour. I thought it would complement the skin really nicely. I'm also going to paint the handle of the axe and the little hammer with this as well. And again, I've thinned it out slightly just to make it easier to apply, but I do only need a one coat over the light undercoat. Because if you undercoat yours in black, then a lot of these steps you might need two thin coats. So all them areas we've just painted, we're going to shade with Nuln Oil. So that's the brown, the black, the burgundy, and the silver areas. Now I'm applying it quite heavily. I want it to really darken all these areas. I'm also applying it over the fur areas, which were left sort of light grey from the undercoat. If you undercoat yours in black, then paint these fur areas in a light grey before you apply the Nuln Oil. And just have to apply a little bit more onto the brush to go onto the hammer. It really, the axe, sorry, it really brings out the detail in the axe. Now, other little areas you can see where it's sort of pooling up, so if it does that, just sort of soak it up with your brush. It's alright if it pulls up around sort of the designs, but you don't really want it to do that on the blade itself. And you can see that's put out a lot of the detail in those areas. So next we're going to begin highlighting these areas. We're going to take some Blood Reaver flesh for the brown areas. Again, this is a brown sort of fleshy colour, but it works really well for leather. And I'm just doing an edge highlight here, so I've thinned out with a little bit of water, which will make applying the highlight nice and easy. You've got a good tip on your brush for this, and I'm just running it along the lines on these straps. And be very careful when doing it on the straps on his chest. Just be careful not to get any on the flesh again. So yeah, just work your way around all the brown areas, just applying this as an edge highlight. So I'm going to take some Screamer Pink now for the burgundy areas. And I'm just going to hit all like the higher raised points and going around the edge as well. Again, it's thinned out just to make applying it a lot easier. That will also, by thinning out the paints in these steps as well, it also means when they dry they are less dramatic as well. As you can see, it's quite a contrast between the two colours at the moment, but once it dries that'll be a lot more subtle. And that'll give quite a nice highlight. So just take your time and work your way along these, and when it comes to the straps on the hammer, just sort of go along in lines on each little bit. That'll really give a nice effect of detail. Next up, I'm going to take some Ulthuan Grey. So this is for them fur areas that I mentioned earlier. So essentially we're just going over them and just hitting all the higher points. Now this paint isn't as thin as it has been for the other highlights, because I really want to sort of paint this quite solidly on the raised areas. But don't have a lot of paint on your brush for this, and that will make it a lot easier. But just go around each little bit, just doing little dots and lines of it here and there. Also going to paint all the little stitches on this little tabard thing and on his pants as well, so just be very careful. You might want to thin it out just a little bit more when it comes to that step. Okay, so next I'm going to take some Eshin Grey, and this is to highlight the black on his pants. You could even add a little highlight to the tattoos if you wanted to. I might have decided not to. I didn't really need it. But yeah, just thinned it out quite a lot on this because I want quite a subtle little highlight. And just sort of hitting the raised sort of folds. So next we take some Retributor armor, and this is for the gold areas. And this is a lovely gold base paint from GW. I'm not a massive fan of their metallics in general, but this one is a brilliant paint. I recommend it for paint and gold. So yeah, just giving it a nice solid coat. You can get one coat with this quite easily over a light undercoat. And just doing on the shoulder pad and on his belt. Next up, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade. I thought I'd give sort of like a darker shadow to this gold. And I did apply it a little bit too heavily, as you can see, as I first went on, but you can go back with your brush and just sort of suck that up and move it around. It's okay if it sort of pulls around the eye areas on these. It is worth noting at this stage, you could use any shade really to shade your gold. You could use purples, reds, sepias, anything that you so wish. I'll just change the final look of the gold slightly, but I just wanted to sort of a dark look with the Agrax. So we take Gehenna's gold now as a highlight, and just applying sort of highlights on a lot of the eyebrows, on the face and the nose there. So hitting sort of the cheek areas. Again, I've thinned it out very slightly, and that just helps apply it for these highlights. Going above the eyes and on the nose and on the cheeks, on the skull, on the shoulder pad. So next up, we're going to take some Stormhost Silver, and this is going to be for a final little spot highlight on the gold, but we're also going to highlight the silver areas as well. And I'm just running it along the axe blade there. A nice bright highlight on a blade sort of gives the illusion of it being extra sharp. So that's something to bear in mind for painting miniatures. For some reason we lost a little bit of focus doing this, but I'm just doing little spot highlights with this. Just do very little highlights. I went a little bit too heavy with that low one, but I neatened it up afterwards. But yeah, just very little highlights on the gold, and then just go along an edge highlight on the silver. So I'm taking some Screamer Pink again, and this is just to paint his tongue. Be very careful as you do this. It's not the easiest area to paint, but if you thin the paint down and have a nice tip on your brush, you should be able to do it no trouble. And we'll take Ulthuan Grey again, and this is an even harder thing to do because I'm going to paint his teeth and his eyes. So have very little paint on the brush and thin it out with a little bit of water. Nice good tip, and you should be okay. I make lots of tiny little passes, and eventually you get a nice good solid colour of white. And if it makes it easier for you, you can hold the miniature at any angle that you feel comfortable with. Normally if your paint's thin enough, you shouldn't need as many little passes as I do there. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the bag of holding, and we're going to take some Xandri Dust first as the base coat. Now I'm going by a bag of holding artwork that I've seen online. That's quite a cool sort of tribal pattern on it. So we're going to go with that. So after that's dried, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and just sort of apply it on. Now I've thinned it down a little bit here because I don't want it to be too dark. I just had a little bit more on the brush there. You can see where it does pull up, that really shows off where the detail is on this bag. So next to paint some of the tribal designs, I'm going to take some Baharoth Blue. So this is a nice bright light blue, and you can sort of see there's a line on the bag that I'm sort of following. I did notice there's just a little bit of wash that wasn't particularly dry just when I start doing the vertical line. So just be mindful of that. Just wait for it to dry before you go back to it. As you can see, I sort of stopped there. But I did go back to it, and then once I did, it looked like this. So I'm going to take some Sons of Horus Green, and this is just to add another little pattern, or another little colour just on the bag near the top. Just a couple of little dots either side. I sort of got a little sort of face on it, I think. So these are sort of meant to be sort of either side of the nose. Then we're going to take some Evil Sunz Scarlet. And we're going to just paint like some little triangles on the blue. I mean, they're not really triangles, they're more like little sort of dashes, but just if you sort of space them out, that's what gives you a little pattern going around his bag. I think that looks pretty cool. Makes it look a little bit more interesting as well. And just add a little bit more to the top of the bag as well, just above the sort of nose. So with that, there's only one more thing left to do, and that's paint his base. So you can do his base however you want, but when it comes to D&D miniatures, I just like a nice solid black base, because then it doesn't matter what climate or what environment you're fighting in, your base will just be black. So, you know, you could go with like grass or something, but if you're in a dungeon, then you got a miniature of grass on its base. So yeah, I always just like going black. So here we have the finished Grog Strongjaw Miniature. And yeah, I really enjoyed painting him. I think I'm going to enjoy painting all of these Vox Machina guys, and I'll certainly move on to the Mighty 9 afterwards. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you like how Grog looks. I'm quite happy with the end result. And these are quite nice sculpts. So this is the first miniatures from Steamforged that I think I've painted. So, but yeah, really nice. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. And hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date when we do more of these. So yeah, please let me know in the comments down below what you thought. And I'll see you all again in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. You can also click that bell icon to be notified when a new video has gone live on this channel. On the screen now are 2 more videos that you may wish to check out, and a link to our Patreon page also. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.